Hey there everyone, this is Michael Dougal, the Nootropic Reviewer, and if you're wondering if Rhodiola Rosea is worth trying, it absolutely is. I don't rate a lot of nootropics 10 out of 10, but Rhodiola Rosea is 10 out of 10 for me, and throughout the past decade through the nootropics that I've used, I've yet to find anything which is great for cognition, great for stress, fatigue, and has so few side effects. I'm more comfortable ingesting this supplement than most of the other nootropics out there as far as the racetams, of course modafinil. You can consider it a nap in a pill. You feel clear-minded after ingestion, appetite suppression, a boost of energy, and then I was a bit skeptical, thinking it was too good to be true, or maybe the effects would subside with time, but I have not built any sort of tolerance to it. I'm using Rhodiola Rosea about 330 days of the year. You can consider Rhodiola Rosea to be a medicinal plant. It's a perennial flowering plant that grows naturally in wild Arctic areas of Europe, Asia, and North America. And it's an adaptogen, meaning it's a compound that will better help you to deal with stress, fight stress, build your tolerance to handle even more stress. And especially if you're like me, ambitious, burning desire to succeed, you've already nailed things down as far as nutrition, exercise, hydration, and like what kind of compound could help me to get that extra edge. That's where you can look at something like Rhodiola Rosea, especially when you take it in the later portion of the day, because it does help you to fight off fatigue, fight off stress, and give you that same clear-mindedness that you would have had in the earlier portion of the day. But it may be a good idea to combine Rhodiola Rosea with another nootropic for cognition, because Rhodiola Rosea is not going to improve your memory. It may not help you to solve complex problems. And trust that this is not bro science. There are a number of studies done on Rhodiola Rosea proving its effectiveness, and I've broken down the benefits to 5 major benefits. The first one being its effects with stress. And this was an especially popular study because this is what led to a lot of further research being conducted on Rhodiola Rosea. The topic being the effects of Rhodiola Rosea on anxiety, stress, cognition, and other mood symptoms. And they took 81 students that had mild anxiety. They were young, only around age 21, and they tested the subjects over 14 days with a dosage protocol of 200 milligrams twice a day. This is pretty common throughout the studies, 400 milligrams per day. And what they had found in the Rhodiola Rosea group, not the placebo group, was there was a significant reduction in self-reported anxiety, stress, anger, confusion, and depression. Stress, it's one of the best nootropics out there. For anxiety, I'm not so sure about. Anxiety comes in a lot of different forms. If you experience social anxiety, I don't think Rhodiola Rosea would be that effective. It's more so like a good energy booster. But the way that Rhodiola Rosea may help you with anxiety is that because it makes you more focused on your high priority activities, you really just have less time to procrastinate. The second major benefit would be fatigue or chronic fatigue. And this is a study that I particularly appreciate Rhodiola Rosea for physical and mental fatigue. And the study subjects had all mentioned that they were experiencing some sort of fatigue. And they found a statistical improvement with a number of factors related to fatigue. Things like the ability to concentrate, things like mental fatigue. And that study really showed us that Rhodiola Rosea may be beneficial when you're sleep deprived. When you're sleep deprived, generally, you have a worse short-term memory. And there have been a number of days when I've been sleep deprived, and Rhodiola Rosea is one of my go-to nootropics. I will actually take a little bit more during the days that I'm sleep deprived. They've even tested Rhodiola Rosea with military cadets, and they reported significantly decreased fatigue and an increased capacity for work. The third major benefit would be Rhodiola Rosea for improving your mood. And that may seem kind of obvious, of course. If it reduces stress, it reduces fatigue, it will naturally help you to boost your mood, but they've also tested Rhodiola Rosea against a traditional antidepressant. And what they did in this study was they took 57 depressed patients, half of them took Rhodiola Rosea at a small dosage of 340 milligrams, and the other subjects took a popular antidepressant called sertraline. And what they found was that both compounds definitely work. Rhodiola Rosea worked, sertraline worked. Sertraline did work more. Rhodiola Rosea didn't work as well, but there was far fewer side effects noticed in the Rhodiola Rosea group. Because of course we know with SSRIs, many of them work, however side effects are very common. And quite honestly, if you were looking for a herbal nootropic to boost mood, ashwagandha is going to be a much better option, because the way in which Rhodiola Rosea may improve your mood is simply helping you be more focused and helping you with your physical energy. But say if you're going through something, you're experiencing general nervousness, then I've definitely found ashwagandha a lot more favorable. The fourth major benefit is with age-related diseases, and this is something which makes Rhodiola Rosea so popular, is that it also has health benefits. It's also an anti-inflammatory agent. Animal studies show that it can protect vital organs, and it could be promising as a therapeutic agent for the treatment of cancer based on this new study. And Rhodiola Rosea does have a specific active ingredient responsible for having a healthy central nervous system. And the fifth major benefit is Rhodiola Rosea's use in improving exercise performance, and the mechanism of action in which that works is mostly neural. See, what happens is we have our perception of how difficult something is going to be, but under the influence, you can say, of Rhodiola Rosea, you actually perceive something to be not as difficult as it would have been. So imagine you reaching for that PR, you're more likely to try it because Rhodiola Rosea has made you believe you could be stronger than you actually are. So this benefit is a big maybe. I personally don't think Rhodiola Rosea is all that good for exercise. I don't use it pre-workout. I more so prefer using using Rhodiola Rosea in the workday. However, one study did show that there was a shortened reaction time and total response time in young, healthy individuals, and it also helped to increase antioxidant activity. So maybe it could be helpful because when you're exercising, your body's under a lot of stress. Rhodiola Rosea may be able to allow you mentally to deal with it better. And if you were to ask about the side effects, I personally experienced none whatsoever. I will warn you that Rhodiola Rosea can be somewhat stimulatory, so you wouldn't want to take it too close to bedtime. That's why I'll take my latest serving sometime around 6 o'clock p.m. because of the fact that Rhodiola Rosea will make you somewhat alert and energized after taking it. But in the very few studies where side effects were reported, the common side effects were being dizziness and were dry mouth. And it's common to stumble across an anecdote on Reddit where somebody has mentioned that it did cause anxiety, and I totally believe this to be true because it does help you be more focused. My dosage protocol with Rhodiola Rosea is taking 300 milligrams at 2 o'clock p.m. and then another 300 milligrams at 6 o'clock p.m. And the reason that I don't take Rhodiola Rosea first thing in the morning, although you can, is because of the fact that the main benefit with Rhodiola Rosea is that it helps to eliminate fatigue. When you wake up, I don't experience any fatigue, therefore I just simply don't need it. So I would much rather take my Rhodiola Rosea when I need it, when I've done some work, so I need to clear out my mind so I can better perform afterwards. And that's the reason why I've been able to have very long work days. It's simply because I use Rhodiola Rosea later in the day. However, to achieve like a 300 milligram dose, you would most likely need to get in the powder form because the capsules, they're commonly going to be out there at 500 milligrams per capsule. And that's a decent serving if you were to have 500 milligrams once a day, 300 milligrams twice a day, or 500 milligrams twice a day. It is a bit much, but if you're working long days, then it may be good for you. I've yet to find studies where they use higher doses of Rhodiola Rosea. If you want to try the actual study dosage, it seemed to be 400 milligrams across most of the studies, and they were either in split doses of 200 milligrams twice a day or 400 milligrams once a day. However, if you're ingesting a lot of stimulants, a lot of caffeine, it may just overpower your Rhodiola Rosea. There are different versions of Rhodiola Rosea. If you were to look at the supplement facts, sometimes you'll find like 3% salidroside, sometimes you'll find it says something else, and that's because of the fact that there's 140 chemical compounds found in Rhodiola Rosea. But most commonly, you're either going to find a Rhodiola Rosea product which is rich in rosavins or rich in salidrosides. And here's the difference. The form of Rhodiola Rosea which is more rich in salidroside, that's going to be better for energy production. It's going to be much stronger at helping you to fight stress. It's also going to improve your mood. But if you're looking for something a little bit relaxing, somewhat of a holistic extract, then you can look at getting the 3% rosavins. And note that with the 3% rosavins, in order for it to really work effectively, it still does need salidroside active, so it'll most commonly be available of something like 3% rosavins with 1% salidroside. And then we have a newer and more popular form of rhodiola, Rhodiola crenulata, which I have tried. I did not find as effective as the 3% salidroside. I was somewhat disappointed because the promise with Rhodiola crenulata was that the active component of salidroside was more bioavailable and more noticeable. Quite honestly, I've used Rhodiola Rosea from so many different brands, it really doesn't matter. Rhodiola Rosea has always been especially effective for me, and by adjusting the form of Rhodiola Rosea, I've never really been able to achieve anything that was that different. Over the past few years, I've been using the form from Nootropics Depot, but I'm sure there's a lot of great brands out there. Just make sure you go with a reputable company. Consider subscribing and liking if you did enjoy this video, and if you want to chat with me one-on-one, you can do so over on Patreon or Instagram. And be sure to visit our Discord server, which has a 24/7 chat room. We're active and having a lot of fun. I thank you for your interest in nootropics and look forward to seeing you all next time.